Okay. Yes, team, how are we doing? Thursday, the 28th of April, 2022. And today we have our first ever client success session. I knew that was going to be a tongue twister when I wrote it. Mr. The man himself, Jason. Now, I speak to a lot of very driven, ambitious, high achievers. And there was something special about Jason when we had our very first call. I like to hold myself to pretty high standards and I like a challenge. But when I had my very first call with Jason, I knew I was going to have to up my game. Okay. When someone turns around and say, I'm going to be your best transformation, I was like, oh, okay, we're going in here. There was a couple of things me and Jason were literally just talking before everyone came on the line, and we was going over some of the things that he kind of mentioned to me on the first call. And some of the things that really stood out to me was he was going, I don't want to get old, I want to thrive. And another one was he wanted his body to be a reflection of the man that he now is. But we'll kind of get into everything. Obviously, like I said, if anyone has any questions and kind of the process, we'll go through things. But Jason, obviously appreciate you massively doing this because your journey so far has been freaking incredible, and excited to see where the rest of it goes. But you just want to give the guys who don't know you a little bit of an introduction to kind of who you are, what you do.
Yeah. Okay. So, as you know, I'm Jason Wise. I'm the chief exec of a charity in Jersey. We support islanders that suffer with drug and or alcohol addiction, and supporting their families, as well as providing support for adolescents and children. So it's quite a demanding job that I've got, and time is often an issue with me. I do long hours, but when we talk a little bit more, I'll talk a little bit how I've sort of started to balance that out. But that's who I am. I'm the chief executive of a local charity in Jersey. My history is I'm 47. I have spent most of my career working in the finance industry. I left there 13 years ago. I just stopped. It was enough. I'd had enough, and I got into the voluntary sector, and got on this path. And I'm in recovery. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take drugs. So I think I've got a pretty good start when it comes to health and well-being. Although I did batter my body for a number of years prior to that. So it's where I'm at now is a pretty good place. And I'm sure you'll ask me some questions I had to get how I got to that point.
Yeah, 100%. Safe to say you're definitely thriving, and I think your story is inspiring in itself. But obviously, you're a dad as well, right?
Yeah. I've got two daughters. I've got a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. And I know she'd kill me if she forgot her age. 12-year-old and 17-year-old. I'm married. We're a very close family. We do an awful lot together. My family are very important to me. They are my most important thing around me. But at the same time, I would say that I'm quite a selfish person as well, in that I have to be there for myself in order for me to be there for my family and the people that matter to me, including the people that I look after in my work.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sometimes being selfish is the most selfless thing that you can do. So before we get into things, what are your kind of hobbies? What interests Jason?
I am a very social person. I love different types of sports, and I've only really got into sports as I've got older. Funny enough, I love boxing. I like going to the gym. I started boxing 7 years ago in a local boxing gym, and I didn't think it was my kind of thing, but when I started to get myself sorted, I tried to get myself in good shape. I just love boxing. I found it was very good for my mental health as well. It was really good for my mental health, in fact. Running, I do a lot of running. I spend a lot of time with my family. And my work, I'd say my work is I wouldn't refer to it as a hobby, but it's certainly something that I don't see as work. I see it as, it's a passion. You can't do this type of stuff if it's just about, a job. I don't get up every day and go to a job. I get up every day and do something that I love. And so I'd say that is as important as going to the gym.
It's inspiring, and it's It's a passion. And when I like the word motivation, I fucking hate, as everybody knows. When you're inspired by something, you don't have to be motivated. And when there's a thing that you can help people like you do, that's where inspiration comes from. And that's where the passion comes from. And that's why you are where you are and you do what you do. And you have such a big impact on so many people's lives. But what obviously people can now see where you are now. But let's just paint a little bit of a picture for everybody. Kind of where were you in the time period before you reached out to me? And then also just as you kind of reached out to me, what had you tried before? What were you kind of struggling with?
Okay, so last year, before I reached out to you in December, mid-December. I had been following. Started following you probably nothing creepy, of course. In I think September, October time. I've always been quite skeptical of things. I'm quite a skeptical person. I don't jump into things without being sure that it's for me. So I was watching these photographs used to pop up on my feeds, and I used to be, oh, bloody hell, and I want a bit of that, but that's all. It's all gimmicky. It's not real. I had, I lost my gran last year, so I had quite a tough year in that I lost my gran. I had to close one of our rehabs down. Financially, the charity was in quite a tough position. It was just a shit year. It was not a good year at all. And because of that, I found that my own health and my own well-being was starting to suffer. I certainly wasn't doing any exercise, and I certainly wasn't looking after myself, which is one of the things that I had prided myself on for many years, but wasn't doing it, and I could see myself slipping. Then I started following your page, and I started seeing these guys and girls, looking great, and looking at where they were and thinking, well, I look like that. In fact, I look like that now. Maybe I can do that. And then I thought, you know what? I don't need online coaching. I don't need it. I'll do it myself. I'll give it a go. And it's like anything. When you're not accountable for something, you give it a go, you start it, and then something gets in the way. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. And then it just slips. And then it's hard to get back into it again. So I've dipped in and dipped out, thinking that I'm fit, thinking that I'm doing all the right things, eating the amount of crap that I was eating was, but thinking I was doing good, because, if I went for a run, I'd come back and eat, 2 or 3 bags of crisps, thinking, that's okay. I've been for my run. I'm okay now. I can justify it. So I think I was a bit lost. I was a bit lost when it came to my own health, my own well-being. I didn't know what to do. I didn't really know how to do it. I thought, something inside me says, well, you do know, but I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. I sometimes you just got to surrender and say, look, I need some help with this, and accept the help and invest in yourself. That was the other thing that stood out for me. I can't remember where I heard it. It was something you said, Simon, and it was about investing in yourself and how much would you invest in yourself. And that sat with me, that question, because you didn't say it to me. You said it in one of your talks or something, and I thought, that's a really good question. How much do I value myself? How much would I pay for myself? How much do I spend on crap and nonsense and gimmicky ways of trying to get fit and what have you? I spent a fortune, in various ways, shapes, or forms, and it's got me nowhere. So I thought, how much what would I do? And I just said to myself, I'm going to forget about that. I'm actually going to think about, how I would invest in myself. Forget the monetary part of it. It was about how I would do it. And the investment for me comes with the people that I surround myself with, and the people that I trust to help me do it. That's the investment. Forget the money. It's more about the environment and the source of doing it. So I took, that's when I reached out. That's when I reached out to you, and I thought, you know what? In fact, I sent the email, and I think I was a bit peed off about something. And I thought, I'll just send Simon an email and just see if anything comes back. And and it was just like that. And that's what it was. It was like, I'll see if anything comes back. But it was meant to be, because you did respond, and we had a good chat, and that chat was very, very useful, because you didn't do a hard sell on me. Had you done a hard sell on me, I would have just disappeared, because that doesn't work with me. We had a conversation. It was a good conversation. You didn't really have to say much, in all honesty. I think that I said quite a lot. And when I heard myself, when I heard what I was saying to myself, well, I'm doing this myself. This is what I need. So it was more about feeling comfortable to do that.
I think one of the hardest things for people is when you realize you're in that position, you realize you're struggling, maybe you're going in that kind of roundabout, which you found yourself in a bit, is actually surrendering and having the ability to lead with vulnerability and actually ask for help. If someone was in that position, what kind of advice might you give them?
I think the first thing I would say is sometimes it's hard to reach out and ask for help and support, because you can have that, not macho, but you can have that thing, well, I know best, that mentality of I know best. If there is something in you that is saying that you do need to reach out, just do it. People are there to reach out to. And if you're thinking like that, then there's something inside you that's saying you need to do it. So, don't fuss around with it, just do it, and take the gamble.
It's the other thing with that is like sometimes people don't know how to ask for help. So like one thing that I'll use with some clients is we just like get them to raise their hand. Like, so if there are any clients listening back to this and you are struggling, no matter what it might be, and you're not quite sure to go, hey, you don't want to say I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, just literally put your hand up, just send us an emoji like that. And it's just an easier barrier of entry for people. But in terms of kind of that space where you were kind of yo-yoing backwards and forwards, what kind of impact was that having on you, like personally and professionally, before we signed up?
Yeah, it was having a very much a negative, because my mindset was very negative, and because my mindset was negative because of the way I felt, I could feel my own mental health. I could feel everything slipping, and when that slips, everything around you is just, it's like you've got plates spinning, and then the plates are starting to fall. That's what it felt like. And I think because it was a tough year anyway, emotionally and professionally, it was almost like, there was somebody, if somebody was stood over me just pouring crap on top of me, it was like they were just pouring, and it just kept pouring. And there's only so much crap you can have poured on top of you, isn't there? So I suppose I felt very, I was at a point where, something needed to change. I think it was easier to identify that and accept that because of my own journey and other struggles and other things. And I think for some people that might be a hard thing to accept and to sort of do something about. But it certainly was. It was a point in my life again where I thought, right, I've got to do something. Just do it.
So I absolutely love that. And then talk to us just. I know this is really hard, but I want you to blow your own trumpet. Okay, like what are the results you've seen so far? What's life like?
That's not hard for me. I'm quite happy to blow my own trumpet on this one, because do you know what? Why the hell not? I've worked hard for this. I've worked hard to feel this comfortable and this good, both mentally, physically, emotionally. It's all intertwined. All three of those emotions, physical and mental, it's all linked together. And I'm in a place where I'm not going to lie, it's not been easy the last few months with all those things emotionally and professionally, but I've handled them in such a different way because I'm okay. So I have achieved huge weight loss. I've lost, I'm down, I've said before, I'm down 4 notches on my belt. I went to a friend's house on Saturday and I was going to do shooting. I've been to the gym first, and then I've got my jeans and I forgot to bring a belt with me. So I thought, well, I'll phone him and I'll just borrow one of his belts. Now before I could borrow one of his belts, I put the belt on and the jeans were still falling off. So I had to just go in shorts. But that's the sort of, that's the thing I mean. So, I mean, my weight loss has gone, my body shape has changed, even my skin, everything feels just better. It's just better. And I am so much happier. I've got abs. I haven't seen abs since I was a teenager. It's quite a long time ago. I can see my abs. In fact, I've sent you a couple of photographs. because I get a glimpse. So I'm in the gym and I get changed, and I get a glimpse in the mirror, and I think, shit, that looks good. It was really good. and I love that. Why the hell not? You know, I've worked for it, so I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm quite happy to flaunt it, which is why I'm doing this. You know, I want to show, I want to use my experience that I've had with AS and you guys to be able to help others think, realize that they can do something, and it is possible. It doesn't matter how old you are, it is possible, and it's what you get at the end of it. Also, that not to look at it as a chore. I think that's a big thing for me, is that if you look at this whole process as a chore, then it's exactly that. And what do chores do? They're a pain in the backside, aren't they? So the biggest lesson I've got about this process, I've been with you now for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
I think it's coming for 5 months. I haven't once looked at anything I've got to do as a chore, not once. And I have listened to my body as well, because there are times where I have pushed it too hard, and I know I have, so I've stopped and I've taken a break, because being an addict, or being addicted to things, I can cross over into other things, and I've got to make sure the balance is right. So work, life, exercise, me time, I've got to get it all right. It's all a balancing act. But you can go. I did find myself, and now I still go to the gym every day. I don't miss going to the gym, but that's not because I have to go. That's because I want to go. And if I don't want to go, then I won't go. So, I'm not, I follow my schedule. I mean, and the schedule you set me, which was really realistic. And I think that was another thing from the outset. You said, what can you do? What can you realistically do? I said, I can go to the gym 4 times a week. That's what I said to you. Realistically, that's what I can commit to every week, is 4 times. No, I've been going every day, and I make time, and it's part of my own self-care now, that even during the day I try to go during the day every day, because it means I can switch off from whatever's going on in my work or my personal life. I can switch off for the time that I'm in the gym. It's my time, and then I feel better afterwards, and I can deal with whatever crap I've got to deal with. So this has been not just a physical transformation for me, or a physical education, or around nutrition. This has been actually a living education, how I live my life, how I plan and structure my days, to fit it, to include nutrition, to include exercise, to include the me time that makes it possible for me to do all the other things. That's what I've learned. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So that leads us quite on really, really well. So I want people to come away with this, and like, success leaves clues. Like the success you've had in all different areas of your life, but also particularly this transformation, this journey so far is incredible. And I'm a big believer in that, like, when people are successful in areas, there's always stuff to learn. And I want people to have some really kind of tangible takeaways from this. So let's just kind of move into like a couple of key points around training, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset. Just 1 or 2 on each that you think has worked really well for you, or that you think other people might find super, super valuable. So if we just start with nutrition, what would maybe be 1 or 2 things that just worked incredibly well for you?
Okay, so the first thing with nutrition is I've started to want to know what I am eating, rather than just buying a packet of something and putting it in the basket. I do my wife's head in. I find myself looking at the back of the packet. I want to know, so what's the protein, so what's the fat, what's the calories, and it's not that it's being obsessive. It's actually I'm interested. So the biggest takeaway, with nutrition is actually knowing what I'm actually consuming, because sometimes I think there are things that are packaged and marketed very well that look fantastic, and actually they're shite, So I've learned that actually just spending that little bit of time looking at what's in things has helped in planning my own nutrition. The second thing I would say is, I think people are very different in how they do it, and planning is a big one, isn't it? And it's a lot easier for some people to plan than it is for others. I've sort of taken a different, because I've tried different ways. I tried the meal prep, I tried all that, and I enjoyed it while I did it. but then I got consumed in other things, and the time it just became a bit difficult for me. So I mentally plan what I'm going to eat. I mentally have in my mind, right, so I'm going to make sure I've got my protein, make sure I've got enough to cover my protein and my calories for the day. It might not be to the label what I've written down on a piece of paper. How I refer to it is, it's like the back of a fag packet plan. That works for me because I can adjust that, and I can be flexible with it, and it's worked tremendously well. But so is the planning. The planning at the beginning of this process, when I was losing weight, was really, really important, because that was all about learning as well. So you were learning about food, you were learning about things. I suppose if I summarize it, it's a bit like, I've not become cocky. I don't mean that, but it's a bit like that. But I'm not cocky, but it's a bit like that, where I thought, well, actually, I know the sort of things I need to eat, and I know the things I need to consume. So I'm going to do it in a way that works for me, that fits my lifestyle and fits my structure, and it's working, and it's great. And it's not taking over. It's not taking over my time, and it's not encompassing more than what I'm able to give.
100%. Yeah, well, the proof's in the pudding, I think, and it's really nice to hear you say these things, because in terms of like a coaches from AS, the perspective that we want to bring you, I always say to people, there's two reasons that you end up in the position that you are, particularly when it comes to nutrition. Number one is your education of what's actually in food isn't good enough, and number two is your decision making isn't good enough. But quite often your decision making isn't good enough because you don't know what decisions to make, or you don't know what's in the food. So like we said, like reading labels, it's giving you an education about what's actually in things, which has then allowed you to make sensible decisions. And just having that kind of curiosity and learning what's actually in foods is massively beneficial. Knowledge is power at the end of the day. And like you said, yes, there are a million different things, like high protein Weetabix. There's basically like 0.5 grams more protein in a protein Weetabix than there is a normal Weetabix. But like little things like that, you start to learn, and you probably save yourself some money as well for not falling for it. But then once we've kind of got that initial structure, which we go more tactical, like we have your meal plan, you track alongside it to get you really good at it. Now you have your own personal nutrition protocol that works for you. And everybody who listens to this or watches this now, we have a system that lays your foundations. And then every single person is individual, is then finding your own personal protocol that works for you. But you need to lay your foundations first. Just like Jason's spoken to, you need to learn, you need to teach yourself how to make the right decisions. And quite often, hey, to start with, you need some results. And that's why we do like a meal plan at the beginning, because it's super simple. Because it's just follow this and you will get results. Because once you start to see results, it just breeds more inspiration, motivation, dedication, because you buy into the process massively. You realize if you do this, you get this. But guys, does anybody have any questions around nutrition for Jason? I'm going to get one. Come on, don't jump at once.
Jason, I've got a question. Say, were there any particular parts of your diet that you struggle to get into, like certain veg or protein sources that you just didn't want to at first? Did you have to?
I think part of the early education was understanding, because I spent a long time eating stuff which was just easy, was simple, quick, easy, and what I thought was good for me. So I there are lots of good things that I actually like, which I just didn't make the time to either buy or get. Like veg. I mean, I actually like veg. So I made the time to find the things that I enjoyed. The struggle I had was, I've got a really sweet tooth. I love sweet things, and I love crisps. And it was finding something that could replace those nice little treats, as I refer to them as. Crisps and ice cream and chocolate, actually. I loved all that stuff, and I would go to the shop, if I was just wanting a little bit peckish at lunchtime or even mid-morning, I'd get a Mars bar. I'd buy 2 Mars bars, because 1 Mars bar is not enough, because in my mind they'd shrunk, which they have over the years. They used to be bigger than what they are now. So I think it was sweet things that I struggled with, but then just with a bit of education, a bit of time, and actually through this group, through the Facebook group, and through just some of the chats that I was hearing, I found things that really worked, like pop chips, love them, they're great. Grenade bars, I'm getting my ice cream and I'm getting protein. Wow, tick, tick. You know, it was, and it was actually quite simple, Thomas. It really was quite simple in the end. Once I could overcome the fact, well, I don't need to eat the crappy crisps, so I don't need to eat a big bag of wine gums. I can get something and get the sweet bit, get the sweet kick, without really punishing myself. Because that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want this whole process to make me feel like I was punishing myself. Does that sort of answer the question, Thomas?
You might have to unmute. I just muted you because your phone was crackling. There he is.
Is that all right, Thomas?
Yeah. Thanks. Well.
Yeah, as welcome, mate. I think the biggest thing is just finding your vice. I'm very similar to Jason. Mine is a sweet tooth. And it's also, I just like to eat big meals. So my two things there is I always think about bulking up my meals as much as I possibly can with more food volume. Johnny will know this. I like a lot of fruit and vegetables because it feels like I'm eating more and it means I'm not as hungry. I also am a low cal ice cream fiend. Like me and Anna literally just had some before and it was fantastic. Okay. Okay. So moving on to training, mate, what would be kind of two key principles for you around your training?
Yeah. First one, absolutely don't see it as a chore. I think that's really, really quite important. You know, it's not a chore. When you start to see the subtle changes and the subtle differences, wow, it don't have to make you want to, it does drive you to do it. But the first thing around training is definitely not a chore. The second thing for me is finding where to train and how to train, I think, is quite a big one. Because if you're a member of a gym, or if you're not, more importantly, if you're not a member of a gym, it's quite a daunting thing to go into a gym. I was already a member of a gym, which, you know, there was only one floor that I'd actually been on. You know, I was not scared, but I was like intimidated. I felt too intimidated to go to the ground floor because that's where all the weights were. That's where all the big dudes were. And I'm thinking, cracky, I can't go down there. I don't know how to use that equipment or that malarkey. And what I found was that if I kept reminding myself why I was doing what I was doing. Why am I doing this? You know, I'm doing this to be a better version of myself. I'm using Simon's words now, but just being a better version of myself. And I kept saying that to myself. So I went downstairs in the gym, and then I started, you know, following my exercise plan, doing it. Following the exercise plan is quite important as well. So whatever you set me, whilst at the beginning I thought, well, I'll do a bit of that, and then I'll do a bit of that, and then maybe I'll go back to that later on. That was my mind telling me, right, well, I can do this my way. That's what my head was telling me. So I had to remind myself that I'm being coached by people that know what they're doing, and I have to listen to that and take their advice and take the guidance. So I did early doors remove that thought of thinking, well, I know what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be part of this program. So listening and following the advice of the coaches is absolutely critical, because the plans are set for a reason. They're working different muscle groups. You know, I could go in, and if I wanted to do it myself, I would have probably messed myself up properly if I'd had a go at it myself, because I would have been pushing myself in areas which I probably didn't need to, or I'd be pushing myself too far. So listening and following the guidance is the other one. And the first one, which, you know, I think I'm right in saying it in this forum, is that you don't see it as a chore, because it's not. It doesn't have to be, and you'll get more from it if you don't see it as a chore. And be realistic with the trainers, with you guys, and say, well, I could only commit to 2 sessions a week, or I can only commit to 3 sessions a week. So if that transparency is there from the outset, then you can have a plan that works for you, and then you don't have to feel guilty or rubbish if you can't do, you know, the sessions. So I think those are the two things.
I love that. And I think I get so many questions like, what's the best training program? What's the best nutritional protocol? Whatever it might be. The best one is the one that you can stick to. That might be a little bit suboptimal in terms of, hey, this is the perfect way to get results. But if you stick to it, guess what? You get results. So I would rather your plan be 60% quote unquote perfect, that you enjoy it and you stick to it for the long term, and you don't see it as a chore and you love it, because that is going to give you success in the long term. Okay. I put down here, just because I'm making notes so we can send this back to everybody. Find somewhere to train and when to train, that's like, so that your environment supports your goals and why you're doing this. I think that's so important, and I think that's an absolute golden nugget there, because I think that then makes it not a chore. Because if you're looking forward to going and training somewhere with people you know or people you get along with, it just makes it so much more enjoyable. So if anyone is listening back to this, I'm not sure that your gym or whatever it might be is kind of aligned with who you are, where you want to go, and the kind of environment that you want to surround yourself, don't be scared to go and look for another gym. Okay. Or try and find some friends, find a training partner, reach out to other people in the community. If you've got anyone who is local to you, go to the gym and train together, because it will make things a million times enjoyable. And I occasionally get selfies from Mr. Shredded Santa himself with some of the AS members in any time, and they always make me smile. So if anybody is training together, please send me a selfie. Anyone got any questions around training?
You did kind of like touch on it briefly, but it's like my biggest thing in the gym is that sometimes I do get intimidated, and I do feel like when I see people, you know, doing these massive weights and everything, and I'm there with like my tiny little dumbbells, but I'm still like, woo, I can do it. But sometimes I do get a bit like flustered, and I do just think, oh my gosh, like, am I doing it right? So it would just kind of be when you get those moments of self-doubt, kind of how you get through that.
Yeah. I could totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
The thing that I did to overcome that was again remind myself that actually, you know, just because somebody's lifting heavy weights or they're in the gym all the time or whatever, doesn't mean that they know more than you. I think the simple thing I said to myself was that I've got online coaches here that are sending me stuff, and I'm sending videos. They're going to tell me if I'm not doing it right. They know the weights. You know, the max week was a big thing. So, you know, that max week, you know, we're going to get told or get guided on what we should push to. Okay, we got to listen to the coaches, and if we see people around us that it can be intimidating because you think, well, they're the experts, they know what there's actually. What I've learned and what I've noticed is that they're not the experts. And if anything, I think that I know more than a lot of the people in the gym that I'm going to, because I look at them and I'm thinking, and I'm not judging at all. But I'm looking and I'm thinking, yeah, it might look good, but what's it actually doing? You know, I know that what I'm doing is doing something for me and is doing something in the right way under the guidance of the guys that are looking after me. So that's how I deal with that, is the fact that, you know, people might look like they know what they're doing, but it doesn't necessarily mean they do know what they're doing. And I know that I've got behind me a team that do know what they're doing, and they're guiding me. That's the easiest way to hold on to that, or get rid of that doubt. Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. Thank you.
Completely agree. You've got everyone you need, and you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think the other side of this as well is, I think every single person on this call, and I know for a fact, every single person at one point has walked into a gym, or even might now still go into a gym and go, oh shit. I still go here in Dubai. I walk into some gyms and there's guys who can lift 3 times as much as me, and they're about twice the size of me. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I still get it to this point, but every single person is thinking the exact same thing, and every single person had to stand and start somewhere. I think if anything, I look at someone in the gym and I'm like, hey, that person's in here trying to get better.
Yeah.
They're just here trying to be a better version of themselves. They're on this journey. Feel more proud and have more respect for that person, the person who sat at home playing the victim going, I can't do this. The person who's taking action is the person that I would respect. Okay. And everyone there is thinking the exact same thing, and you have a team behind you who, no matter what, they'll be there for you. So don't be afraid, just lean in. Okay.
I've actually found myself, Keris, you know, in the gym, where I see people that are, you know, that may look a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm not an expert, you know, I'm just following my guidance, but you can tell people that feel uncomfortable. And I've noticed it when I'm doing weights, and I sit on the bench, and you can see people are a little bit, you know, a little bit cautious of thinking I'm an expert, you know, or anything like that, because I've got weights. It's that mentality. It's weights, or, you know, or these guys know what they're doing. And actually, you know, it's not. And I've actually made a couple of friends in the gym. Made a couple of friends in the gym, and they are, you know, one's a lady. She's probably about, she must be in her 50s actually, and she's a big lady, and we have a right old laugh, you know, because she's, you know, she knows what she's doing. She's not doing anything big. She's not doing big weights or anything like that. But she knows what she's doing, and she's doing what she's able to do. And I think that's the key thing. And I think when you see people like that and having conversations with people, I think I'm lucky. I'm in quite a nice gym where it does tend to happen like that, where you do get a little chat with people and what have you. But again, I think if it wasn't like that, I'd move. If I didn't feel like that, if I didn't feel comfortable with that, I would move gym. I wouldn't hesitate in doing it.
Absolutely awesome. So just kind of finish off, let's do one key point for mindset and one key point for kind of like lifestyle.
So, okay. So mindset, absolutely number one is, remembering why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, and what, because it is hard work. I mean, let's not kid, it is hard work, you know. It's fun, but it is hard work. You've got to be consistent. The consistency is where you get the results, and that's what I felt, and that drives my mindset. When I see the change, when I see because I was, in all honesty, I was quite skeptical about weighing myself every day, because I thought that would really pee me off, because I go up and down, and I thought, right, this is going to annoy me now. And it didn't in the beginning, because I was going down, you know, and I kept going down. I think, oh, I like this. But when you start to plateau a little bit, and when you get down, you think, oh, crikey, what's going on here? But my mindset has got me over that, because I am very, very confident in the direction it's going. So if I dip up a little bit, that's all right, doesn't matter. And then I come down again, that's cool, because what I'm listening to is my head telling me that actually it's okay. You know, I'm not going up, you know, my body shape is changing. I remind myself of what's changing and what's good. So my mindset is always around the positive, the positive element, because the negative will just drag you down, and then you'll start feeling less than, and then you could have that effort moment and think, oh, I can't be bothered with this. So the mindset is always been positivity.
And I think that's incredible. So positives, and then also remembering why. So my two kind of follow-on questions to that, and I'm sorry to take a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it'll be really, really useful. Obviously, Jason's had a lot of personal stuff kind of go on over the last kind of 6-8 weeks or so. In those tough times, how have you managed to still remain positive and remember your why?
Yeah. Okay. So in those times, I have made sure that I carry on doing what I'm doing. I've not let my structure slip. The only time it slipped is when I wasn't too well. I wasn't feeling great, but I listened to my body. I wasn't going to push myself, and my body wasn't feeling right. But to get through the difficult times that I've been through over the last sort of 6-7 weeks, I have reminded myself of what my self-care is about. You know, what I do to keep myself right. For me, it's the gym. I love the gym. So I've made sure I went to the gym. I made sure that I kept myself focused, even if it was like where I was dealing with crap beforehand. I knew that I had that time, whether it be an hour and a half, where, you know, I could just be in my own space and enjoy it. Come out of it. The endorphins are all released and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I come out and I think, well, yeah, the problem's not gone away, but I'm feeling a little bit better in order to deal with what I've got to deal with. So keeping the structure.
Yeah, keeping the structure. Don't fuck with the sausage machine. Don't fuck with the sausage machine. Just for a bit of clarity on that, my mindset coach basically is like, you've got this machine, you know how to make sausage, but I kept fucking with the sausage machine and changing stuff, and then it would break. Basically, we all do things that make us feel good until we feel good, and then quite often we stop, or something happens in our life, whether that be positive, negative, emotional, psychological, whatever it might be, and then we stop doing the things that make us feel good, and we wonder why we don't feel great. So if you do start going through times where you start to feel a little bit down, things aren't feeling great, you've had some personal stuff, whatever it might be, just think, hey, what is the easiest thing that I can do right now for me to regain control? Okay. For some people, that might be, I'm just going to tidy the flat. For some people, that might be, I need to go for a walk and just clear my head. For some people, it might be, I'm going to the gym. Whatever it might be, what is the one low hanging fruit that you can do to regain control and something that will make you feel good? Okay, because as soon as you gain that control again, you'll be absolutely flying. How about lifestyle? I'd be interested because you are one busy man, Jason. How do you balance everything?
That's a good question. How do I do it? I think it's been realistic. I've maintained, I've developed, if you like, a realism around what I have to do. So I need to spend time with my family, I need to work, and I need to keep myself well, keep myself fit. So as long, those are the three things I've got to do. So I've just got to fit them into the day. And if you like, I suppose the hardest thing to fit into the day is actually making that time for myself. So taking that time out is the hardest thing, but I make sure I do it. I force myself to do it because I know when I do it, I'm going to feel better afterwards. So the balance comes quite naturally after that, because as long as I can get in my time, the rest of it all works. The rest of it just naturally balances itself out. So I think the important ingredient for that balance for me is definitely about making that time for myself. Definitely.
You look after you, you're in the better place to look after everyone else.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely golden. So I've put down here, and I just want to affirm this back to you. So it's kind of like your thing. Like for me, what I'm taking on board there, and the lesson that I'm learning there is ultimately just managing your expectations, bearing in mind what you've got going on. And that's going to change a little bit in terms of what's going on in your life. And we always say to people about pushing and pulling. There's going to be times where, hey, look, personal life has got to take a bit of a priority. Physique and performance might take a bit of a back step. We don't say no, we push and we pull. This might go on maintenance, but hey, look, this has come back. Personal life, professional life, a bit more chilled. Hey, let's push on that. So it's about managing your expectations about what's going on in your life. And then also just for me, something I pulled out there is just kind of having priorities and like personal values. So like from what I'm here to you, like your key values that you have are your family, it's your health, and then it's also your purpose, which is like your work and helping other people. So your day and your week and your month and your year revolves around those three kind of things that are most important to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. I love that. And I put in big capital letters here, look after yourself, and you're in a better position to look after everyone else. Guys, anyone got any questions around kind of mindset or lifestyle or things like that? It's an opportunity to pick the brains of a very intelligent man. Someone's got to have something. Johnny? No?
I've got one. With your gym sessions, do you prefer mornings or afternoon sessions? Because I'm still deciding which one I prefer.
Okay, I've played and toyed around with different times, but I love, if I go the morning, I go, around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because the gym's never too busy. And I prefer it's either the morning around 10, 11 or the afternoon 2, 3, 4 o'clock. I don't like to go later in the evening, but I will go if I haven't been that day and I feel that I need to go. But I prefer to go earlier on as opposed to later. I can't do early mornings. That's just not in my makeup. I can't get out of bed to go at 5, 6 o'clock. And it's too busy anyway. So I like going when it's not busy so I can get on stuff and I don't feel like I'm messing up my plan. So those are the good times for me, mid-morning or sort of mid to late afternoon.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's finding when you can get it in for one, and two, when you perform best, three, when it doesn't take away from the rest of your day. For a little bit of example, like I'm so used to training at like 11, 12 o'clock. Recently in Dubai, me and Anna have changed to start training first thing in the morning. Reason being is that one, it's so hot in the middle of the day. And then we'd just be, because it would take so much out of us because it's so hot, we would just be absolutely tanked for the rest of the day. Whereas training in the morning, it's a bit of a slower start to the day in terms of work and things like that. But luckily with the time difference, that's fine. It also means that it's a bit cooler. So then it's not completely sapping us for the rest of the day to then be going to work. So it's about being aware of what's going to charge your energy, what's going to take away from it, and then also when you can get it in and things like that. I've toyed around with so many different ones. For me personally, if I'm doing cardio-based stuff, I prefer the morning, okay, because I just feel like it puts me on such a good note for the day, or I prefer a kind of lunchtime session. Evening-wise, I find it affects my sleep, and I'm an early bird personally, but it is a case of really finding what works for you, Tom. But honestly, Jason, I cannot thank you enough for this. There's been absolute golden nuggets, and I'm sure there's going to be some people with some light bulb moments. But two questions. One, what advice would you give to your younger self, or someone who was in a place where you were a while back?
What younger? 20s, 30s?
Go 20s as majority of our clients.
20s, yeah. It's quite a lot I would have said to myself. I think that that's a really tough question, because I wouldn't change anything, even though it's not been that great and there's been some crazy times. I wouldn't change it, because I wouldn't be doing what I am or be the person that I am today. And I love the person I am today. So I think you have to go through these things. And maybe the bit of advice would be, just do what you've got to do, follow what your gut's telling you to do, and make the most of it. If you've got to change at some point, your body or your mind or someone will tell you need to change. But you always got to go by what you believe. So I think my bit of advice to my younger self, my 20-year-old self, was actually be just keep doing what you're doing, son. Crack on.
Exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
And then this is one question I had, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, and I think this is something that you've really, really kind of embodied. How do you deal with delayed gratification? I'm throwing some curveballs at you here, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. I think, how do I deal with delay? I think you've got to remind yourself of I've looked at this as a stepped process, one step at a time, not looking at it as a day at a time. I've been looking at it as a step at a time. I've used my weekly photographs as my goalposts, if you like. So week to week. So sometimes there'll be ups and downs within that week, but I know that I'm aiming for the photograph week. So the delayed gratification is something which I think I've managed in a way that I know that I'm going in the right direction. So even if it's not getting that full expectation of what I've been working towards, as long as I'm still going in the right direction, I'm happy with that. And I think that's where the coaches come in, because I think as people, we tend to we can beat ourselves up a bit too much, and I was doing that. And I think that what you guys do is you will turn that to make it, well, actually, look what you've achieved. And then you'll soften it by saying, well, it's going to happen like that, but what you've got to do is focus on this. So I think the delayed gratification is all, for me, I've dealt with it because I know that I'm going in the right direction, and it's going to come. I'm constantly displaying gratitude and happiness at where I'm at and how much I'm achieving. I mean, an example of that would be, I've been trying to get down to 65 kilo, and that's been a bit of a yo-yo for me, between 65 and 68 kilos. It's been a bit of a yo-yo for me, but that's not a bad thing, because I'm not getting bigger. If anything, that 65 to 68 yo-yo, whilst I would want the 65, and I might beat myself up, I'm thinking, well, actually, I don't need to beat myself up, because I'm getting stronger. So I'm getting stronger, and I might be going up and down, but that's okay. I think accepting the fact that it's okay is the key thing there. It's all okay, as long as you listen to you listen to the coaches and listen to the guidance that you're getting, then you should be gratified, and you should be happy.
100%. I think it's also having multiple metrics of progress. So you're not just looking at the scales. You're not just looking at your numbers in the gym. You're looking at things like your free time, your personal life, your professional life, your sleep's getting better, your energy's getting better, your productivity's getting better. Have these multiple metrics of progress, so you don't get so fixated on one thing that if that does maintain, all of a sudden you measure yourself and your own success and your own you validate yourself on that basically. So if you can have these multiple metrics, it's really, really going to help. So again, a massive thank you. I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone. I say that was incredibly valuable. And dude, I'm looking forward to, Jason is doing the photo shoot, which is going to be incredible. I cannot wait. And then I know we've got some big goals set for the coming months, years, whatever it might be. Dude, thank you so much. And guys, if anybody has any questions, fire away.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll just give Jason a massive thank you, please, because he's a legend.
Thank you very much.